Hi, it's Mayo with Raw Art again. Today I took this weird picture of ice jam yesterday, and I don't know if I can show you on my phone. It probably won't come out, so I'm just going to use it as my reference today, and I'm going to paint this. It's actually in oils, and the palette is pretty simple. It's monochromatic, basically monochromatic. So we're going to have, again, titanium white. We're going to have this cobalt blue and an ultramarine blue. And we might add a touch of burnt umber because it is in the monochromatic field, but it's a foggy kind of a look at the ice jam I took yesterday. So let's get this image in. And it's kind of neat because it's trees in the background. We're going to dip in our linseed oil today. And what happened with the trees in the background, they became real foggy. And it's strange how digital film has a look to it that it's just interesting. It's almost brushstroke. So we did add a little viridian up here, but I'm going to go like this with it. I know you can see it. We're going to put a lot of white in the middle section, so it's a titanium, because that's how it is in the actual picture. And because it's digital looking, it looks like there's blocks. So I'm going to do that block look like this. And I'm not going to use a lot of paint. And we are, in a sense, using that one, the Kira technique, light and dark. I think it's fabulous, that Italian technique of the composition in the steps in light and dark. So a light field, a dark field, a light field, a dark field. And I did add a little viridian in this one, because it seems to be right here. I like that viridian green. The funny thing about this picture is I'll try to post it as a thumbnail, the reference photo that I'm using here today. I'll print it out, or I'll send it to my Gmail and see if I could get it off the phone and make it a thumbnail on this particular painting, so you can see the reference I used after I took this giant ice jam yesterday. Very dark in this corner, so we're going to keep it that dark and light technique I like so much. Adding a little bit more viridian in my palette. It's a tiny bit short. So in this viridian, I'm going to add that little bit of that burnt umber. Not much, a little. And a tiny bit of that ultramarine blue. Let's see if I can get it in here. Get this nice dark field in here. In this corner here, you can see it now. Something about doing quick oil paintings and not spending too much time and overworking it. Many of my students, or even I in the beginning, used to overwork everything. It's unnecessary. And I have these trees in here that came out with this digital look. Very interesting. We're going to put those in now. I am going to change my brush probably. I was using this. It's a flat, if you can see it. Right here, number 10. And I started with the larger one. Just a flat brush. Nothing great. You can see that. I'm going to switch to the smaller right here for the trees. the trees have this digital feel to it because I told you I took it with my phone. And we're going to mix in a little bit of that iron oxide, which is burnt sienna, and ultramarine blue. And I'm going to put these trees in as I hold this reference. Mix it in that linseed oil. Got some of these darker shades in here, in this evergreen. I think about this is, it's going to break it up if this is a 1/3 and we have 2/3 and we have 3/3. That's good for compositions. But I see this piece in here. It's just a shape in that digital camera. And it goes like that here. And then it changes a little bit, so let's dip back in that linseed oil. Goes back into a little bit of that viridian. And it has this, I noticed this person in here. This face. I know we can make images. Any image we can kind of develop a face, but this one is interesting. This face is really interesting. So I'm going to try to capture what I saw. And it's like an arm and a finger. And this part is like this. And here's the finger part. Remember, I always show you if you can take out of an oil painting as well as add to. And this is the part I thought was interesting. Right in here. And it looks like a hand and a big, the wrist part here as it goes down. And it looks like he is saying, okay. A giant hand saying, okay. It's interesting in this landscape. I noticed this interesting thing. Back in the linseed oil with this finer brush. And I'm going to, you can see the brush right here. Okay. And the phone switched on me. Here it goes. It comes back. And it has a white kind of an image here. So I'm going to leave it white in here as it goes down the wrist. It seems like that to me. And then the hand is in here. Very monochromatic. We're going to stretch that out a little bit here. And this is what I saw in the landscape yesterday. It's just so interesting. We're going to blend it in here. And this is where I saw that thumb area. I'm going to dip it in again, my linseed oil. And we're going to put the index, I believe, was here. And then a finger went down here. And of course we have the thumb. So it doesn't look like an OK symbol. That's what the landscape was telling me, this neat OK symbol. And then we had a darker area. And I do like to mix that iron oxide or the burnt sienna with the cobalt. We're stuck on this simple palette this week. And then the tree came in. But the branch dropped out here. And then it went off the page, which creates interest. It's a good thing to go off your page in a composition. Or complete, or not complete a circle, just leave a half circle. Because psychologists say that the viewer actually will finish it. And kind of invites them into your actual composition because they're finishing that half circle into a full circle. It's a natural thing we do. But this is what I saw in this landscape. And I just wanted to capture it today because it came out after I manipulated it on my cheap art Microsoft editing in my old computer. It came out pretty neat and kind of spooky. So this is what I'm trying to capture. And this was one that we're going to take this one out again. I always like to do that. It just disappeared here like that. And we can do that like that. And then we're going to bring him back in a little white in here. You can put it down here too. And it just had some of that blue in here too, around it too. It's just an interesting composition that I seemed to capture yesterday. A little bit more of that viridian in there. I'm going to switch the brush again and go a little bit in the darker field here. And I'm going to darken it up a little bit right in here. But of course, if we don't add that iron oxide, we don't get that nice dark look. So we have to mix them pretty even, the iron oxide and the cobalt blue right in here, like that. I'm going to see how it looks again. There we go. Like a V creates interest, and then we're going to come back and bring the spooky one in. It was kind of like that, and it went off the page. And it disappeared here. Wipe this off a little bit. Back in with some of that titanium white. This is the part. I want it a little lighter. I kind of like that now. And it just came out of nowhere, this branch. This one too. I just like that monochromatic feeling. It seems to be the theme even with my landscape this week, that monochromatic feeling. Yeah. So it looks like the tree was floating, and I am painting on an angle. And then we have this one, which is interesting because it's an evergreen. But when you take a digital photograph of landscapes, it's almost monet-ish the way it looks. It just reminds me of a monet-ish feeling, the way the digital comes out. So I'm just going to put these feelings and shapes in here. That was one evergreen here. Interesting. And this is probably considered a monochromatic since our palette is cobalt blue, ultramarine, iron oxide, which is burnt sienna, a little bit of burnt umber, and the viridian green. So it does. It is kind of like it's a monochromatic, basically. Not a lot of color. And then I'm going to come back in with this brush and add some of these and that titanium. Let's spread it out in here. It was very misty looking. The hand just came out of nowhere right in here, and that's basically what it was. Here's the hand and the finger. I don't want to change it too much. And this is actually another branch, but this is how it came out, so I liked it. And then I take this and I swipe back and forth. It has that monochromatic feeling and monet-ish, you know, I mean monet-ish feeling. I don't know why I said monochromatic again, but this is actual painting yesterday I took. I thought it was interesting. And in here we have a little bit more white. Let's get that white. Put this down for a second. I'm going to change brushes here. I'm going to add a little bit of that titanium here. Sometimes accidents make the best paintings, or simple compositions. Nothing too complicated. We're going to put this back in. I can see it here. And here. And here, white. So we do kind of have a light source. You should always have a light source. You know, figure out your light source. And mine happened to be on the left here in this actual picture I took yesterday. Now this picture was not the ice jam. I was taking the picture of the ice jam on a roof. And this was the background. And it was the trees. So I cropped it. I told you on my cheap photos. on my cheap computer, and I did some editing, but I still have the feeling, and that's what I wanted to capture, is this feeling I got from this. And that's what I'm talking about, the hand. I saw a hand and a face. That's what I wanted to show here. And then in here, just real interesting. I'm gonna leave it like that, because that was another tree. And we'll bring that tree in here. A little bit more of that blue. Stopped here. Let's soften that with a nice soft brush. Nothing. It's a soft brush, completely dry. I'm just going to kind of make it look soft, like a feather. And just kind of milk it out. There's the other part of the hand here. Like he's saying, okay. Just in here, kind of block it out. And then I see the face. Now, the face is back here. It was so interesting. After you see the finger, you see one line coming out, and I should probably use that flat brush I was using. A nice flat number 6, it looks like. Because of the way the face comes out by the finger. It jotted out here one shape, then another shape, then another shape. I had it half in there. And then the eye was here and here. And then it had a forehead. And the nose went down at an angle. And then a little bit of that cobalt in here. It changes up again. And it went blue right here. And I did not capture that blue there, so let's get a new brush. I don't want to spend time cleaning brushes on this YouTube. I just want to get it done. And this is the blue part I see. Yeah, that was it. Right in here. And we're going to take, there's something relaxing about painting. And you should never be afraid to do it. I mean, there's a lot of rules and techniques I can teach you. But experimenting and just doing it is just such a good thing for the soul to create. See, that's what it looked like to me. I'm going to clean this tip quick. Sorry about getting in front of it. And put this white spot in here. A second here. Turn back. And it goes like that. Down. A little bit more of that Viridian here. Because it changes it. Right here is the change. Yeah. I like the colors. And then I taught you that you can take your index finger and pull a little light out or some of the excess paint. Yes, I'm holding my phone because that's what the reference photo is today. And you can pull some of that out, and you can even blend with this actual thing. But if you look, you can see the arm and the face in the background. And in here, I like it right in here because that is where the thumb is up. And it's giving me the okay, which is so interesting. It's so interesting. And then a circle in here. Now I'm going to take another nice soft dry brush that is good to blend because we still want this blendy look. So I'm just going to take a nice dry brush like this. It's not an expensive brush. And I'm just going to soften it a little. Now remember, this is oils, so you know, we can go back after it dries and do some more things with this technique. But we're going to capture this moment that I took, and this face in the background and the hand coming forward. It's just interesting. So this is how we're going to leave it for now. And I think I got it. Let's just get this eye a little bit softer, like that. And I always think, I tell my students to think of a feather, you know. Move it soft, just across it, very skimming this dry, clean brush, just across your canvas. To give a foggy, misty, atmospheric look is what we're trying to capture here. I don't want anything focused. This is what I want. It's almost ghostly. So let's do one more thing and we'll sign off. I think I captured this ghostly image. So like I said, behind the building in the ice jam was this ghostly image. So I cropped it on a cheap photo thing. And you can see the face here. See? Watch. And eye. So we're just going to bring this white part right here. And now you can see the eye. A little bit more titanium. Take it out. With a clean towel or paper towel. Doesn't matter. Like that. That was the image. Go back with a nice soft dry brush. And this is what I saw yesterday in the background of this ghostly image. You might just bring that finger up a little bit more here. And a tiny shadow behind it. It was right here. Made it look like the finger. And then I had another finger bending over. I'm going to put that in before we sign off. It was right here. Yeah. This other finger. That one's a little darker and bigger. And then the OK was here. So let's darken that up before we sign off. Just like that. Curled up like that. Nice and gentle. And then it curled like that. So you can see the ghostly image now. And it just went down like this. So we'll just blend this wrist here. And I'll show you with that dry brush. Still got some on it, but we can still make a nice blend here. A nice blend here. And we have that ghostly image. Like it. Okay. And there was a streak here, and I don't know where that came from, but it's an interesting streak. I'm going to add a little cadmium into this one. It just came out like that from the side, which I thought was interesting. We'll add it in here in the light part by the tree. Yeah. And I think a tiny bit here. Like that. A little darker. A little bit of that. Yeah. That's what it was. Ghostly image. One more swipe. And I'm going to get in front of this a little bit, so bear with me. We'll get these hairs off when it dries. Sometimes the hairs will come off these swipey brushes. Don't fret when the painting dries. We'll remove them. Leave those white negative spaces. A little here. And there, we're finished. Thank you so much for watching again today. I will give you more details in the description. It's Mile with Raw Art. We did a real fast oil painting in kind of a monochromatic feel. And I'll give the description. Thank you. Sponsor me. Goodbye.